Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast. Hi. So I kind of woke up spur of the moment this morning and decided to make a podcast. I kind of wrote down I think I knocked my microphone, I'm sorry. I kind of came up with the idea a little while ago to do this advice thing, and I was just kind of getting ready to do it, and I was like, you just gotta kind of do it. So here I am. I'm gonna do it, and I'm on very little sleep, very small amount of sleep because I lost my frisbee last night, and I was just in the woods trying to throw the frisbee as far as I could, and then run to be able to catch it before it fell on the ground on the other side. But then I put like too much air under it, and it got like tangled up in this clearing, and I didn't see exactly where it went. I like I spent probably 3 or 4 hours looking for it, and in hindsight, I shouldn't have because it was like $6 from Walmart, so I could have just gotten another one. But I lose things a lot, and because I lose things a lot, I wanted to prove that I don't always lose things by finding the frisbee, and then I just couldn't find the frisbee. And then I went home and laid in bed and made it really dirty because I didn't shower and I was in the woods for several hours looking for a frisbee. So I showered this morning. That's why my hair looks like this. It's clean, but it's like it's in a weird thing. But yeah, this is an advice show. I get letters from people, handwritten. That's the only way I accept them. And then I put them into an easier to read format for you guys on the video, just because not everyone has the best handwriting, and that's okay. So let's get to this first letter here. Okay, so this one is from Nicole in Minnesota. Uh, she This one is from Nicole in Minnesota. She seems to have. This first one is from Nicole in Minnesota. She seems to have written the letter in an accent, so I will try and get through this the best I can. Um, Dear Advice Show, you should probably know the name of the. I don't even know how she found that. Whatever. I hope this letter finds you well. I'm writing to you with a situation that's got me feeling mighty out of sorts, and I'm hoping you can lend me some guidance. You see, I'm just a simple gal from the Midwest working as a zookeeper in good old Minnesota. But somehow I done found myself in a heap of trouble that I never saw coming. I'm sorry, I know that's just how she talks. It's not fun. It's not funny. It all started innocently enough when I stumbled upon a stray kitten in need of rescuing while I was visiting the big city. Oh, that's sweet. Being the animal lover that I am, I couldn't just leave the poor thing out there on its lonesome, so I scooped it up and brought it back to my hotel room. Little did I know, that kitten belonged to a notorious crime boss in the city, and I done went and got myself mixed up in something I never bargained for. What? Before I knew it, I was being dragged into the shady underworld of crime and corruption, all because of that darn kitten. I tried to extricate myself from. You just never picture someone from Minnesota using the word extricate. I tried to extricate myself from the situation. People from Minnesota are smart. That's not cool. What I said. I tried to extricate myself from the situation, but it seemed like every time I turned around, I was getting pulled in deeper and deeper. Before I knew it, I was running a criminal empire without even realizing it. That was quite a turn. Now I find myself in a bind with no clue how to extricate again myself from this mess and return to my simple life back in Minnesota. All I want to do is get back to tending the animals at the zoo and living a quiet life away from all this chaos. But it seems like every time I try to make a clean break, something pulls me back in. So here's where I need your help. How do I go about getting myself out of this predicament and return into my normal life? Is there a way to make amends for the mistakes I done made without landing myself in an even hotter water? I'd be mighty grateful for any advice or insight you can offer. Thank you kindly for taking the time to listen to my tale of woe. Warm regards. Huh. That went quite a few different directions I wasn't expecting. So as a rule on this podcast, I believe everything that my people who write in, I believe what they're saying is true. You have to believe their story is true, otherwise what's the point of the podcast? Am I right? So let's just say She's from Minnesota. She works as a zookeeper. She's at the big city, so it's at least that's not gonna like that's gonna make it broad enough where she's probably not gonna get in trouble with whatever gang she's involved in. Um, Stumbled upon a stray kitten, and a notorious crime boss is who the kitten belonged to. And then so she really isn't giving many details on how she got there, but I guess that's not the point. The point is that she now runs the criminal empire. She somehow got it from the crime boss, and she finds herself in a bind being this crime boss, and she just wants to go back to Minnesota to tend to the animals at the zoo. I wonder if she's killed. Like, she seems innocent. She just seems like an animal lover. But I wonder if this is just like one of those comedy situations where it's like she just gets involved in whatever this is. She's just trying to return the cat to the mob boss, and then she gives the cat to the mob boss, and that makes him turn his head so a bullet misses him, and then he thinks she's like some sort of gift from heaven, so he like keeps her around and gives her like a lot of money and gives her a lot of cats to play with to distract her, and eventually, just by random coincidences like of her just being around, she'll just like be walking around the mob. I guess it's not necessarily mob boss, we'll just say crime boss's mansion. She's just walking around and she trips over something, falls, and the sound makes the crime boss go out to the hallway to see her with another bullet missing his head that was going to go in his office. And now that assassination attempt failed. So now she saved him from 2 assassination attempts. She goes up to Capo, just automatically based on that. And eventually, just through another few random coincidences, like she's on a mission to go shake someone down, and it's just her like politely asking for the money, and they're like, oh, I've never met a crime person so nice before, and so they just give her the money without any hassle. And so she's the one who consistently brings back the most money. And so just by like being herself and just being like a nice lady from Minnesota, and then she gets the gang a lot of money, gets them more influence in the community, and eventually the crime boss relinquishes his seat voluntarily to her because she's so much better at running a criminal organization just because she's nice. And that's how she got herself in the situation. Now people rely on her, and now she's made crime really nice, like the criminals really nice in the city that she's in, but she just wants to go back to being a zookeeper. It's a lot of responsibility. I'm assuming that's how she got there. Yeah, that's tough. That's really tough. I would say, so here's what you got to do, because people in Minnesota are known for being really nice, and just Midwesterners are known for the oh, how you doing, blah blah blah, 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 blah. The thing is, all humans have evil in their hearts, and even people from Minnesota, like when they're being super nice, super welcoming and hospitable to you, it's like in certain parts of like the Midwest, not necessarily Minnesota, but certain parts of the Midwest where they have that attitude, you could also be like just not Christian, and they'll be like, oh, you know. So maybe probably shouldn't go like the religious route with the crime bosses. That seems like you can get to dicey territory. Scrap that one. Sorry, I'm thinking about this on the fly here. I guess it's just like, okay, so you gotta do backhanded compliments that seem really nice. People from the Midwest, I think, do that not on purpose sometimes, but sometimes it's on purpose. So you just gotta, throughout the criminal organization, just start giving everyone in there backhanded compliments, but not to them. So it's like, say, you're talking about Fred and you tell Bob, hey, Fred seems so laid back whenever he's at work. I really wish I could be as relaxed as him, which is just really your way of saying he doesn't work hard when he's at work. But you tell that to that guy, and then it gets back to Frank. I already forgot the name. I can't remember if that's right. And that starts just this like chain of just people not feeling as secure in their jobs and just not trusting their fellow criminals as much, and just people start being less nice, and then you go to collect money and you're not as nice anymore, so they're not like as generous giving it to you, and then you try to be more of a hard ass to make sure that you get it from them, but then that you were so nice and non-confrontational for so long that they're not scared of you anymore, so they don't give up the money. So now you're making a lot less money for the criminal organization, and you're like, I think I've run my course, and you go back to the old crime boss and like, hey, I think you should take back the ship, and also I want to go back to Minnesota, please. And then they're like, well, when you're in the criminal life, in the first place, you're in it forever. And then you're like, please, though, please, can I not do this anymore? I want to go back to the zoo. And they're like, oh, the zoo. I do like the zoo. You can go do that. And so that'll probably help you be how it resolves, I would imagine. So thank you, Nicole, for being the first advice on the show. Oh, by the way, I should mention, for whatever amount of this video will be released, I don't make eye contact. Not with you, not with anyone. So if I'm looking off screen, because I don't even want to make eye contact with myself in the camera. Oh, yeah, so this would be at the point where you would maybe throw in like an early ad, but I don't have any advertisers, so I'm just gonna talk about a product that I wish existed, which is so you know the what's the thing? What is the thing? A Roomba, that thing that like the little robot that like goes around and like sweeps and stuff. I wish there was a Roomba that also cooked. Like a more general, like took care of more general household things. So I guess not even just cooks and cleans, but like can fix a leak in the plumbing and can make the bed when your girlfriend asks you to and you don't want to, or can be like a security system, so it can have a camera, but also if someone breaks in, it is trained in martial arts, so your house will always be protected. That's what the product that I wish existed. And so hopefully the goal is one day we can have an advertiser in this spot that's real and pays me real money to advertise the Roomba that is also a security system and fixes leaks along with cooking and cleaning. So the next person we're giving advice to, let me find them. I guess I should, oh no. I guess I should delete this one. It's just so we don't get mixed up. Okay, so this is by Adam, a 23-year-old man. Ugh. Sorry, there's one like still brewing in there. Hold on. I guess it's fine. Dear Advice Show. I don't think they had the name of the show when they wrote these. I'm writing to you today to share the utterly bizarre series of events that unfolded during my recent trip to New York City. What was supposed to be a fun weekend getaway turned into a whirlwind of insanity that I'm still trying to wrap my head around. Fancy. It all started when I arrived at my hotel and realized that my reservation had been accidentally double booked. The receptionist apologized profusely and offered to upgrade me to a penthouse suite free of charge. Okay, all right, that's good. That sounds like an awesome start to a vacation. That evening, I decided to take a stroll through Central Park to take in the sights. As I was admiring the beauty of the park, I stumbled upon a group of street performers putting on an impromptu circus show. Okay. It seems like a lot to be going on just like in Central Park, unless it's like a like organized show, but if it's just like people on the street, it seems like a lot. I watched in awe as acrobats soared through the air and fire breathers lit up the night. This has to be like an organized thing. But the real madness began when I hailed a cab to take me back to my hotel. Halfway through the ride, the cab driver suddenly veered off course and started driving like a man possessed. I tried to ask him what was going on, but he just laughed maniacally and kept speeding through the streets like a bat out of hell. Eventually, the cab screeched to a halt in front of a dimly lit alley, and before I knew it, I found myself in the middle of a high stakes game of underground poker. I tried to protest and explain that I had no idea how I ended up there, but the other players just chuckled and handed me a stack of chips. The fuck? By some stroke of luck, I managed to bluff my way through a few rounds and actually came out ahead. Alright, this is okay. But just as I was about to cash out my winnings and make a run for it, the police raided the place and shut the whole operation down. I barely made it out of there with my dignity intact. You're worried about your dignity? Now, here's where I need your advice. After a weekend like that, I'm feeling a bit frazzled and unsure of myself. I have an important meeting at work tomorrow morning, and I can't decide what colored tie to wear. Should I go with a classic navy blue, or perhaps something more daring like a vibrant red? Your insight would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for lending me your ear and your expertise. Sincerely, in need of tie dilemma resolution. There's both a lot and basically nothing to unpack. I guess let's answer the advice first. If the meeting is kind of like led by you, like you're going to the meeting because you're giving some sort of presentation and you need like the focus to be on you, go with the red daring tie because it'll draw focus to you, but the tie will be so red and daring that that'll be what they focus on first, and so you can fuck up what you're saying and it doesn't even matter really because they're just so focused on the red and daring tie. If it's a meeting where like it's just like a general meeting where you're just kind of like trying to blend into the background, you're not really trying to stand out too much, just go with the blue tie. You're blue for chill, red for like I'm taking charge. Yeah, so that's the tie thing. Let's go through this. So here's my thing. None of these seem related, and it kind of sounds like he just had. So let's start at the beginning. Penthouse suite, free of charge, is pretty sick. Okay, so that's one win. Central Park street performers, and it was just like a good show. That was all he was describing, so that's 2 wins. And then the cab driver driving like a man possessed, laughing maniacally, and speeding through the streets like a bat out of hell to an underground poker game is where I get a little bit confused because it's like, you think you'd want to be discreet for something like that. Also, you take a random stranger to the high stakes poker game, and why did the police bust in? Why is this illegal? Just because they're gambling too much money? Do you need like a license to do that? Why did the police bust in? Well, yeah, I think that's the choice for the tie. I would say probably try to just be better about not participating in the illegal underground poker. I don't know what makes it so underground that the police needed to raid it. But hey man, if you manage to bluff through a few rounds and come out ahead, maybe you should pursue poker. That's second advice. Pursue poker. Forget about the tie and whatever you're using it for. Poker. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is who would beat Super Saiyan God Goku from the Pixar universe. This was something that I was thinking about the other day. Um, and I Googled most powerful Pixar characters, and I'll put the link, not the link, the picture up here. But I do just want to point out, I'm looking at the screenshot right now. So out of like the characters that they like listed off, it makes sense for the most part. It's basically all of the Incredibles, and then Merida, the uh archer lady from what was that? It's a Brave? I don't know, whatever it was. Um but then also Colette from Ratatouille was on there, and like she's powerful, but like I meant in like terms of like magical abilities. Also, Bo Peep, don't know what it was going on there. I feel like out of all of these suggestions, I don't really know the limits of Maleficent's power. I feel like though she got beaten by like a human man with just like a sword and a shield. So I feel like Super Saiyan God Goku would probably be like a pretty good match. Genie is dependent on the situation. If whoever has control of the lamp um is on his side and wants him to beat Goku, he can like just wish for that. But if the genie's free, I don't really know if like the genie is just like able when he's free, if he just like is able to just do genie shit. I think it's like he gets powered down or something like that. So if he is able to just like wish Goku to not be able to fight anymore, then he can win. But that's more situation dependent, not just really based on like pure power. Um, Out of all of the Incredibles, probably not, because like it just doesn't really seem like any of them would be like powerful enough. Like, I mean, it seems like in their depictions, Goku is like way stronger than Mr. Incredible, so it just doesn't really seem super likely. And Ursula, no, like that's just she is powerful, but like not that powerful. Yeah. So the only one I think that has a shot is Genie, probably. Um, yeah, everyone else would just have to outsmart him, which they could probably do. Although it's kind of funny that in Dragon Ball Z, Goku's always an idiot except for when he's fighting and he's like super serious and like cool, calm and collected. It's like he's he's just not that smart. I don't think. So we're gonna do more advice. I think I'm probably gonna cut the episode after this one because I feel like I need more different content than advice, and just doing too like you can't spend too long on these. So, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Dear Advice Joe, I really have to get the name out there more. I'm writing to you today because I find myself in a difficult situation involving my in-laws, and I'm not quite sure how to proceed. That is tough. Last weekend, my husband and I went to visit his parents for what was supposed to be a relaxing getaway. However, it turned out to be anything but relaxing. From the moment we arrived, it was clear that my in-laws had some unconventional habits. For starters, they insisted on keeping their house at sweltering temperatures, despite the fact that it was in the middle of winter. I spent the entire weekend sweating buckets and longing for some fresh air. Older people do have issues with thermostats. Usually it's because they keep it too cold, but I have seen this problem before. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. It's a strange analogy to use when you're talking about hot temperatures, but whatever. My mother-in-law, bless her heart, has a penchant for collecting ceramic frogs. Everywhere I turned, there were frogs staring back at me from every nook and cranny of the house. It was like being trapped in a bizarre amphibian-themed nightmare. Okay. All right. As if that wasn't enough, my father-in-law decided to showcase his newfound passion for ventriloquism. He spent hours regaling us with stories through his collections of creepy ventriloquist dummies, complete with different voices and personalities. It was equal parts impressive and terrifying. By the end of the weekend, I was at my wit's end. I couldn't wait to get out of there and back to the comfort of our own home. But now, the thought of ever going back to visit them fills me with dread. I can't imagine subjecting myself to another weekend of frog statues and ventriloquist dummies. So here's where I need your advice. How do I tell my husband that I don't want to see his parents anymore without it causing a rift in our relationship? Jesus, lady. I know he loves them dearly and I don't want to come between them, but I also can't continue subjecting myself to these bizarre visits. I would greatly appreciate any guidance you can offer on how to approach this delicate subject with my husband. Thank you for listening to my tale of woe. Oh, I love the tales of woe. So, well, he can't just stop seeing his parents, so I would recommend just inviting them over to your house instead. Yeah, like that's really the advice, is just don't go to their house, have them come to your house. Um, I want to talk about the combination of ceramic frogs and ventriloquism and just how it is in America, like where it stands culturally. Um, I'm imagining, she said every nook and cranny has ceramic frogs. I feel like if it could either be it's literally every nook and cranny, and at that point I feel like it's like you're gonna knock so many over because you just turn and your fucking elbow hits 3 frogs and it just smashes. And like I feel like it can't be every nook and cranny, but then again, if it is, like, if it was a bunch of frogs, like there's like a couple frogs in every room, it's like, yeah, it's weird, but I don't think it's worth like putting in this letter when you're complaining about your in-laws. It has to be so many ceramic frogs. It's probably not literally every nook and cranny, but it's got to be like, I'm trying to think of like, are they like if you go to take a shit, are they staring at you? Because that's I think where I draw the line, is like, if it's extreme enough where you can make eye contact with a ceramic Kermit, like while you're having vicious diarrhea, just staring a frog ceramically. Yeah, no, that's it really depends on the exact frog count and the exact frog placement. Um, I would say it really depends on that. So my judgment is, if it's too extreme, like when you're having absolutely vicious diarrhea and it's just spewing out of you and you make eye contact with a ceramic frog, that's too far. If you're not doing that, I think it's fine. I think it's their house and they can decorate it how they want in that regard. The ventriloquism is interesting because it's like, really the only context I have for like modern day ventriloquism is Jeff Dunham, and that's not good. So I feel like it depends a lot on like what the puppets that he uses are. Like, is it just like an extension? Like, it's just like, hey, this is Bob and he's just wearing a suit and he's just like telling knock knock jokes? Or is it like, hey, this is my character on my hand that I'm doing a voice for? Because those are two very different experiences. Like, and she said it was impressive, so he can't be that bad at it, for one. So if it's the first version where it's just like a generic puppet and he's just telling jokes through it and he's just good at ventriloquism, that's a show. I don't know why you're complaining. If it's the second one where it's a character and it's like, and it's like a whole thing like that, it kind of depends on who the parents are as people. Because that can go in a real weird direction, especially when people get older and they don't necessarily know what's cool to say anymore. And like, it's hard. It's hard to keep up with stuff, especially when you don't care that much. So like, it's gonna happen, but that puppet's going to probably not be the most socially conscious puppet, that is. So that's another one that depends on the context. These both depend on the exact context. Like, I would need photos of the puppets and bios along with a video tour of the house with like a notepad in my hand, just making tally marks for every ceramic frog I see. And that will determine if you are in the right or not to even really be upset about being at the parents at all. You can't just stop seeing them. You just gotta invite them to your house if it bothers you that much. Or alternative solution, I should start doing that. I'll give good advice and bad advice. So good advice, invite them to your house. Bad advice, give them a gift certificate to your local spa. They go to the spa. they're out for at least 12 hours and they're having like a really relaxing time. You go in, you smash every fucking statue. You break in, you use like you dress all black, ski mask, you just make sure that no one can recognize you. You know, hotwire a car, take off the license plate. You go over to the house, you get in, you fucking take a hammer and start smashing every single fucking statue. There's not a single frog statue left, and then you just get a bunch of wood, you put it on their front lawn, and you throw every single puppet on there, burn them to a fucking crisp. So you can handle it one of two ways. I would probably go with just inviting them to your house. Just overall, that seems easier. So yeah, thank you. Well, see, I made notes when I was first doing the podcast today so that I could keep track of what I was doing. But I think I got through all of it. There's no more notes. Like the last note I did was third advice, which I just did. So yeah, I think that's where I'm gonna call it. Thank you for everyone who wrote me letters, and I've got like at least 37 more, so I can do a few more episodes of this. Yeah, I don't have a sponsor, but just, think about that Roomba that can be like doing jujitsu and stuff.